Every era has a villain. Sometimes it's the company, sometimes it's the booking, sometimes it's the politics. But this time, it was you. Because there's one man in WWE history who did everything right. 3 primes, 4 reinventions, 15 years of brutality and consistency, and still never got the respect that he earned.
This isn't the story of a wrestler that WWE failed. This is the story of a wrestler that you failed.
2009. There are forgotten eras, there are bad eras, and then there's the PG era.
My life is being ruined by the internet.
That strange, sanitized beige period in WWE history where everything felt like it was dipped in baby shampoo and wrapped in bubble wrap. No grit, no danger, no risks, and no chaos. Just bright colors, plastic championships, same 2 guys in the main event, and an anonymous general manager.
That turned out to be a fucking leprechaun.
And in the middle of that era, there was a noise that the audience wouldn't shut up about. We want new stars. Stop relying on part-timers. Push younger talent. And surprisingly, WWE listened. They did something they almost never do.
They bet big on someone new. Enter Sheamus.
A guy with the complexion of printer paper and the build of someone sculpted out of white concrete. He didn't look like Cena light, he didn't move like Randy Orton light, he wasn't Edge, Batista, Punk, Jeff Hardy, or anyone else we were used to. He looked new. So WWE strapped the rocket, and in 3 months, Sheamus did what no one else did during John Cena's prime.
He beat him clean for the WWE Championship.
That should have been the coronation. That should have been the yes, finally, we have a new star moment. But instead, wrestling fans proved why we are prisoners to habit. We complained. Boo, too soon, he's green, he's Triple H's gym buddy, he's the corporate pick.
The same people complaining online about making new stars were suddenly crying and treating Sheamus like a glitch in their system because WWE actually managed to create a new star.
3 years later, Sheamus won the Royal Rumble. And again, instead of celebrating a brand new main eventer, the crowd booed because they wanted Chris Jericho. That's the original sin of Sheamus' career. He was punished for fulfilling a demand. Not because he sucked, but because he wasn't the exact new star fans fantasized about in their heads. And that became the pattern of his entire career. He was always exactly what the system needed, but never what the audience wanted in that moment. A victim of timing, not talent. A casualty of fans who didn't realize that wrestling evolves only when new faces take risks. The era was dead. Sheamus was alive. The audience rejected the life raft, and that rejection shaped everything that followed.
Now here's where the tragedy starts picking up momentum.
Because Sheamus didn't whine, didn't complain,
didn't cut a tear-filled promo about you people don't believe in me like half of the roster does nowadays.
He did the one thing every wrestler should do.
He got better. A lot better. Dangerously better.
And because this era is forgotten, people never talk about how insane his growth actually was. Mid-2010s Sheamus was the definition of a company workhorse. One of the best US title runs of the decade. Legit bangers with Rusev. Carrying mid-card TV when Raw was 3 hours long.
And felt 6 hours longer.
Always available, always consistent, always making everyone look strong. He adapted to every opponent. Smaller guys, he made them look explosive. Bigger guys, he made them look more powerful. Technical guys, he kept up. Brawlers, he out-brawled them. But then
he gets injured.
He's out for months. Almost a year later, WWE starts showing us video packages of him hinting at his return, and finally, on the Raw after WrestleMania 31, he returned with the Mohawk.
Love it or hate it, this was the first time since 2009 that Sheamus actually genuinely had a character.
And that heel turn? He was cooking. The snarky aura, the presentation, the aggression, it all clicked. He wins Money in the Bank. He cashes in on the only guy in WWE history who was hated more than Muhammad Hassan post September 11. The guy that the fans swore that anybody but him, even Big King Cass over him. I'm talking, of course, about Roman Reigns. Sheamus becomes champion again at Survivor Series 2015 after cashing in on a newly crowned Roman Reigns. This should have been the audience's "okay, we were wrong about him" moment. But WWE fans in that era were in their own civil war. You're not Roman, you're not anti-Seth, you're not Seth, you're not Daniel Bryan, You're not the underdog that we like this week. So Sheamus, he became the collateral damage of fan tribalism. If he beat Roman, boos. If he lost to Roman, more boos. If he existed near Roman, boos. And here's the part that no one likes to admit.
He didn't get a fair chance because the fans didn't want to give him one. They made a judgment in 2009 and it stuck for them.
Even when he got better, the boos didn't change. Not because of him, but because fans didn't want him to be right. This wasn't the story of a failed experiment. This was the story of a man who improved and got ignored for improving. The workhorse era Sheamus was screaming into a void. No matter how many people he carried, how many matches he elevated, how many nights he saved, nobody cared. Not because he wasn't good, but because people have already made up their minds long before he got great. And then came the rebirth that should have rewritten his entire legacy. The Bar, Sheamus and Cesaro. Two men who had absolutely zero reason to click, and somehow became the most perfect tag team of the modern era. The best of 7 series was unreal, the chemistry was lightning in a bottle, the reinvention was complete. This wasn't the pale Celtic warrior anymore, this wasn't the Mohawk menace either. This was Sheamus 3.0, a reinvention so smooth that even people who hated him had to admit,
Alright, he's kinda cold.
And night after night, week after week, pay-per-view after pay-per-view, the Bar delivered classics. No shortcut, no lazy matches, no phoning it in. It was technical brilliance meets brute force, precision meets violence. Cesaro's finesse plus Sheamus's power, everything about them worked. And this should have been the moment the audience finally accepted him. But instead, fans looked at him and said,
Why isn't he being used better?
not, wow, Sheamus is killing it, just WWE should do more with him. That is the curse of Sheamus. People didn't hate him anymore, but they didn't appreciate him either. They didn't watch him, they watched the idea of him.
He was no longer booed, but he wasn't celebrated either.
This was the first time the narrative shifted to he deserves more, which sounds like praise, but in reality is an admission of guilt. Because he deserves more is code for we didn't appreciate him when we should have. The Bar run was everything fans claimed to want. Workhorse wrestling, weekly bangers, great promos, character consistency, tag team legitimacy, and still, he didn't get the flowers. The Bar should have changed everything for his perception. Instead, it only highlighted the truth. People never realized his value until he wasn't standing in their way anymore. And now we reach the era where the truth became undeniable. The banger after banger after banger era. The Gunther trilogy, the wars with Drew, brawling brutes, match of the year contenders, those chest-reddening beatings, the give everything, hold nothing back approach. Sheamus finally became what fans claimed they always wanted. A brutal, believable brawler. A storyteller with presence, a veteran who puts over younger talent, a guy who makes every match feel like a fight, a wrestler who never mails it in, a human highlight reel of violence, and suddenly out of nowhere, the narrative is now to push Sheamus? The narrative is Sheamus deserves a world title run? Sheamus is so underrated? Sheamus is a legend for real? Now
He's a legend? Now he's underrated? Where were all these people when the man was getting booed out of buildings because he dared to be a fresh main eventer? Where was the fans when he was carrying Rusev? Where were the fans when he was carrying Roman Reigns in 2015? Where were you guys when he was with the Bar, carrying the tag division, reinventing himself multiple times over and over again? Where were you when in the 2010s he was giving banger after banger after banger? And now that retirement is no longer just some rumor, it's a shadow near him. Now you want him to be champion. Now you want him to go on and win another Royal Rumble and main event WrestleMania. Now you want him to become the World Heavyweight Champion again. Now you're thinking of all these dream matches. Where were you when he was getting all of those things from WWE?
It's not WWE that failed Sheamus. It's not creative. It's not Triple H. It's not Vince. It's not booking.
It's you.
The same audience that begged for new star, then booed him for being one. The same audience that begged for workhorses, then ignored him every time he was on a roll. The same audience that mocked the Mohawk, then praised him for being authentic. The same audience that didn't appreciate the Bar until it was too late. The same audience that wanted fresh faces, then rejected the fresh face they got. And now that Sheamus is in the twilight of his career, now that his body has paid every price, now that his prime is behind him, now that the retirement isn't a rumor but a shadow, now fans realize what he was. But here's the truth.
Sheamus? He didn't need the audience. We, the audience, needed Sheamus.
They needed his consistency, his reliability, brutality, reinvention, willingness to do things that no one else wanted to. He was the guy who never quit, never slowed down, phoned it in, let injuries define him, let the booze break him. No, he gave this industry 15 years of violence, 3 reinventions, 3 different primes, wars that will live forever, tag classics, banger after banger with every single generation, and the most selfless veteran run of the modern era. And now fans appreciate him, but now it's too late. Because the tragedy of Sheamus' career isn't that WWE failed him. It's that the audience never allowed themselves to love him until they realized he was disappearing. And that's the final truth.
Sheamus wasn't the man that WWE failed. Sheamus wasn't the man that Sheamus failed. Sheamus was the man that the audience failed. You failed him once, but honor him now.
Banger after banger after banger.